understand, if we've accomplished this in 8 hours before, why is it taking us 10 hours? And she would sit down and say, Cindy, the number of requests coming in, mind you too, we were dealing with 3 different ballot types. There was a lot more into this election than normal, but it was just, it was like managing a general election versus a primary with the number of absentee ballots that we did.
So that difference, that $5,000, is the February and March overtime for the election?
Yes, and I had anticipated some overtime with Shred Day coming up, but that's been canceled, so there'll be a little bit of savings there too. You know, and in June, before June 30th, we have to mail out the August ballots, so I had anticipated some overtime there as well.
Question. When would these employees start work? In what period of time? When?
It's usually after July 1st.
After July 1st.
So, right.
if you had 2 more people come in, and if this problem continues, hopefully it don't, but it could, and then something, God forbid, would happen to 1 or 2 of your employees having to stay home because they picked up the virus, then you're short more personnel walking into an election.
And Councilman Ramick, I would be moving in here.
Yeah.
I don't know how else to say it because I mean, obviously we would put a call out for help throughout the city, and I'm sure that, you know, we have the floating clerk 3. There's revenue, there's avenues out there, but, you know, hopefully that
It's
doesn't
being
happen.
used to fill in other gaps as it is.
That's correct.
Any other questions on the personal services? If not, we'll move on to the non-personal services area. Okay, so for non-personal services, we have, let's see here, we've got operating supplies, which is budgeted $2,500. Again, death certificate paper and other miscellaneous items in there, envelopes, things like that.
Jason?
Yes.
It at 0 because it's going to come out of the city's office supplies fund?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I thought when I read it.
Yep, there is a general office supply fund out of the budget and finance that a lot of these little miscellaneous office supplies, the administration chose to eliminate those because we, like I said, because we had that central office supply fund in the budget and finance department.
We do purchase a lot of storage boxes, so, and I know we do share them with departments, so that is a big expense out of that $2,500 that is budgeted there.
Mr. Chairman?
And there are some items that have departmental particulars. Maybe that's one of them that we need to add back in for that purpose. There are, like the planning department has particular envelopes they have to buy that doesn't come out of the general purchasing pool. So, I mean, Cindy, if you just want to give us what that number is, we can put it back in, just whatever that is.
Okay.
We just, what you start to see is every department has an office supply, and we sometimes don't know if we're doubling up because they're being accounted for in central purchasing and individual departments, so. But we know that there are department specifics.
And then operating supplies election, $27,300 budgeted, and you've got in here just pretty much all your supplies for election, voter registration supplies. You have your absentee envelopes, poll books, etc. AV applications, and election programming. Anything to go over on there, Cindy? The programming is probably related to, that's an annual cost, right, for election?
Yes, Dominion programs the elections for us, and I haven't, 10,000 was an estimate because I'm not quite sure. I'll know more when we get March, although there wasn't a lot on March's ballot. Actually, I'll know more when we get August. So 10,000 was just a guess off of what we had paid in 2018. And I see it was cut in half, so I'm not sure. That's kind of, I have no choice but to pay for that. So maybe 5,000 will be enough. We'll visit that when we get there.
Okay, so we have, then we have just regular contractual services, 5,800 budgeted. As you can see, Shred Day, Wi-Fi from WOW. I'm assuming that's something that's specific to the department.
Yeah, it's for election related. I had to run my own line.
And then destruction of records, I probably think it's kind of shredding or something involved in that too.
Yep,
And then
the
you got
shred company.
the annual codification of the ordinances, part of those items. Training and transportation, 3,300, and you got
The usual.
some training in there for the conferences. Printing, publishing, that's your budget for the ads for everybody, departments. I think most departments do ads.
The only one that pays for their own is community development, but that is all of your planning ads, that's your city council minutes, that's everything.
Then you got some dues and subscriptions in here as well too, for a couple of the associations that you guys are part of. And then you have your election workers, kind of detailed out, for the budget of 70,000 next year. Obviously that goes up when there's a
Yeah, there's two
primary
elections, and Jason, just
national
to,
election.
sorry
Good.
to interrupt you, through the chair, there is a $10 bump which will come, once this is approved, I'll bring it to council to approve the per rate, like the roving chair, the chairperson, the co-chair. I bumped them up $10. It's, these cities around me are making their payments so high that they're trying to steal other cities' workers. So I don't want my workers going to Livonia or Dearborn because they pay more, and there are some that do that. I have loyal people who will only work for me. I have people from other cities that work for me, but.
And that's a
so-
one-day set fee.
Pardon me?
That's just adding on to the one-day set fee,
Yes, like say if a chair, election inspector makes $150 for the day,
160.
$160,
Yep.
and so on, so.
Mr. Chairman, there's a hiring freeze now, so we're gonna make sure they don't steal anybody.
I know, right? It's brutal.
Cindy, go, if I could, just on the News Herald publication of ads. I know a few years ago we talked about this, and I don't know that we've really talked about it again lately. Has there been any movement on getting away from the print requirement and going to digital opportunities, or are we still, is it just like black and white still?
It's still black and white. I know that there's been different bills proposed, but they've never gone anywhere, so that might be a good thing to talk with our state representative about.
Agreed.
Is
We'd
trying
still
to
have to
make
make
it
it-
digital.
We'd have to make a charter, isn't that in the charter? That
It
we
is.
would have to make a charter amendment on that as well, I think. Because I agree, I mean, if we can do it digitally, why would we pay to put it in the News Herald?
It seems like that's the way the rest of the world's going, and I don't know, you know, if it's in the charter or not, but, it's probably worth at some point, I mean, it's not a big number, I mean, it's in the
But
big
still,
scheme of things,
yeah, I mean,
but
still.
I don't know how many people are actually reading the paper anymore, so I don't know how many you're actually reaching. Other than one, apparently.
Okay. So moving forward, then we have a couple other ancillary items. We have the miscellaneous for cemetery costs in there. And then we have capital outlay, office equipment, IT and election, which are all requested and then removed based on, again, what the mayor mentioned about readdressing everything, seeing how the funding's coming along. So that's what is going on with those last couple of accounts.
The printer for the QVF desk, I may have money in this year's budget, Jason, so that request might be, I might be able to handle that because I did real well on purchasing my laptops. And I had left a good buffer in there because you never know with shipping, and I didn't want to be caught. And I had budgeted way above what we had ended up getting them for. So I might be able, so I'll let you know if that, I'm gonna have Sarah look into some costs on the printer, because it has to be a specific printer, has to be connected, it can't be connected to the network, it's, and those are state rules, that's not IT rules, that's state, so. And then the other thing was just, I can't complain, I budget as wants and needs. You know, my needs are personnel, stuff to do the elections, you know, my normal, but that's a want, but when the city's in better shape, obviously it's not a need. What it is adjudication. I have the high speeds, they work great. We processed, like I said, roughly 4,500 ballots by 5 o'clock on election day using those high speeds. But we had, the races were, you know, we had one race, we had one question on their proposal. So the ballots were simple. We didn't have any write-ins, so we were able to turn that off where it wasn't looking for write-ins on the high speeds. So it ran the ballots just fine. It didn't have to look for any mistakes or anything like that. This will, the adjudication software essentially fixes the mistakes for us. It doesn't, my worker there doesn't have to take the ballots, look at them, try to figure it all out. It does it for us. Now, there are other communities that have this, Livonia, Brownstown, they're all buying this now. So I'm letting them kind of test run it to see that they like it, and these are my colleagues, and if they, so far, they're all really impressed with it. And it does save a lot of time. But, like I said, is it a want or is it a need? I'm gonna put it in a want category at this point, and I'll get back to you after August, after I see, when we have a bigger ballot, see how these high speeds really work and how the workers can handle separating the problems, and we don't know, but
And Mr. Chairman, again, if the want becomes a need, we'll find a way to make it happen.
I've always budgeted that way. I've been doing budgets since, gosh, 1997, I think was when I first started doing DPW budgets, and it's always been a want and a need type of thing, and I'll fight for my needs, but my wants, you know, they're there. If they can be fulfilled, fine, and up to this point, I've been given pretty much everything I've asked for, so I can't complain. Okay.
Any other questions? No? Nope, thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
You guys have a question? Wait a minute.
Say, that was this,
Wait a minute.
Sorry, Cindy, we might have one from the remote personnel.
Caroline, you got a question?
Sorry,
I didn't give everybody those.
No, I know, that's what you were talking
I
about.
can't hear you.